right here.
Hey guys, my name is Shermie. I have a lot of different names and I just really like lore. With Vendetta's plans seemingly going without a hitch really, aside from small things like Overwatch kind of ruining things in Japan, there's a couple things we can talk about and we have a better idea of what her actual goal is and some clues in-game that lead towards it. As well, I want to talk about Doomfist because there's also new interactions that came out this season talking about what exactly is going on with him. There's a couple things to break down in this video, so if you like it, don't forget to like and subscribe. That stuff really helps the channel and it tells me what you guys like to see. So let's start with Vendetta. Well, last season with Vendetta, for a little recap, we got the SEP serum story, which that was around Sierra and her mom. Her mom was the first soldier enhancement program person, she was Soldier Zero, and Sierra's story is trying to figure out what happened with her. However, in the background, Emery and Freya stole the SEP serum, or the Soldier Enhancement Serum. For a while, we weren't really sure why, but thanks to Moira's short story that came out last season, we know for a fact Vendetta wanted her to steal it for, well, giving it to herself and her army. Now, this on its own isn't that crazy, but it does beg the question, what exactly is Vendetta doing? In Season 3, we have another kind of clue as to what's going on with her, with Shion and the Hashimoto. Talon is working with the Hashimoto seemingly to kind of arm themselves. We knew they were going to get something out of this deal, like Vendetta wasn't just going to give the Hashimoto Talon soldiers to take over Japan, and seemingly, in the hero trailer, we got a pretty big clue to that. In the hero trailer, Shion is trying to deliver some kind of thing or multiple things to Talon. Sojourn stops her, or at least thwarts her, however, she still gets away with one box. Now, this box is pretty important because at the end, it's heavily implied this is an animatech weapon. But what is animatech? Well, animatech is the thing that Genji, Hanzo, Kiriko, and even Mizuki use, and of course Shion's weapons are animatech as well. They're the kind of animal spirit, kind of augmented, or scientific kind of reasoning for why these animals are in these weapons. They were created by Toshiro, Kiriko's father, and after the new story that came out, Kiriko's father is free. He's no longer working for the Hashimoto. So this weapon is probably the last one he made. We know this is a weapon thanks to this in-game interaction.
You may not have accomplished all I desired, but what you did deliver shows great potential.
Potential? I handed you carnage in a pretty package.
It takes more than a honed edge to earn my praise. A weapon must prove itself in battle.
But yeah, what exactly is Vendetta doing with all this? She's got an animatech sword, which is probably going to be a wolf, and of course she's got the SEP serum. Well, it sounds like she's not trying to stay stagnant like Doomfist did, and that seems to be her biggest worry. Vendetta seems to always want to be getting stronger, and she's taking a lot of shortcuts to get to that. It seems like she's just trying to empower herself, make herself literally unstoppable, taking as many different things from across the globe, trying to just increase her forces but also make herself an even stronger threat. This is what makes the most sense to me right now, because there isn't really a correlation between the SCP serum and animatech. I've seen some speculation online this could be leading to a pretty cool mythic skin down the road. Maybe this is going to be a lore mythic skin where Vendetta has a bunch of options, and we'll get a story beat at the end of the year where Vendetta is at her prime, she's at her peak, but that's probably going to be her folly. Vendetta's entire character seems to really not want to stagnate, to the point of almost necessity. So I could see that being a thing, and maybe they do a big lore thing and story thing as to why Vendetta gets a spotlight at the end of the year. Maybe this could even lead to a hero rework. I'm not really sure on that because they don't really rework heroes like Vendetta who just came out, at least for a little while. I'm not really sure if this would be a full rework, but it would be something at least. This is also assumedly going to help her faction and her troops, so it's not just for her, but it's just kind of helping the overall faction itself grow in power. Now, Overwatch has had some thoughts on this. We can see in-game. There's been interactions in the past where Sojourn even questions what she's planning.
It's time to stand down, Vendetta. Overwatch took out your allies in Tokyo, and we won't stop there.
If you believe I cannot survive a single loss, Then you have misjudged my competence to a fatal degree.
And at the time with this interaction, we weren't really sure, but this is kind of the thing that makes the most sense right now. In Season 4 as well, as far as we know, and based on all the clues that are going around in game, it's going to be about the Junkers, and more importantly, it's going to be about Talon trying to recruit them. Or maybe they already have. This one's a little bit confusing because in-game there's interactions that go both ways. Apparently Mauga's already been to Junkertown if we go by the in-game interactions, but interactions aren't necessarily canon, so we can't really dictate anything off that on its own.
Where do I sign up for the scrapyard?
Fresh meat, eh? Oh, try not to bore me.
Was just gonna say the same.
However, getting the Junkers on your side is a pretty big power play. They're wildcards in the world, and we're not really sure where they would scale in comparison to anyone else, but we know they are a catalyst for chaos. So, yeah, they're going to be a big deal in any way that, well, Vendetta needs them to be. Vendetta's forces are growing pretty rapidly, and with the next season, we're probably going to start to see either maybe Vendetta losing some of this, or maybe she constantly gains till the end of the year. Vendetta's plan and everything going on with her is something that is kind of going on in the background, not really fully sure of yet, but that's the best guess and what I think is going on with her yet. Now, we need to find out who the next heroes are because I feel like those characters are going to be really important to whatever Vendetta's planning. As for Doomfist, we have a couple little things in-game that came out with mid-season. After his short story Successors, where he says that, well, he's alive and he's going to adapt, we've gotten a couple little things talking about where he is. Nothing much, honestly, but I would like to point out these two interactions between Reaper and Sombra and Doomfist.
So what's the plan to take down Vendetta?
There is no plan.
But you always have a plan. We have to do something.
And we will. When the time is right, Vendetta's empire will be felled by action, not schemes.
What are we waiting for? The more time we waste, the harder it'll be to put Vendetta down.
I will not approach this fight in overconfidence. We will have one chance, and we will make it count.
So, it seems like Doomfist is at least going to get Sombra and Reaper to work with him again. Once again, interactions in-game aren't exactly canon, but they do kind of dictate what's going to happen in canon sometimes, especially in this newer era. So these two are probably going to be working with Doom or stay in contact with him even now. This would make a lot of sense as to where both of them have been, but interestingly, there's one character from this little trio that's absent in these interactions, Widowmaker. Now, what exactly is going on with her is still up in the air. There hasn't been any new interactions or any little teasers to say where she is. However, I do think it's a really real possibility she's going to remain on her own for a while. The last thing we heard about Widowmaker was she was going to be leaving Talon, well, because of everything with Doomfist, but Maximilian in the comic that came out a little bit ago was pretty sure that she was going to stay with Talon, mainly because she needs her constant drug and medication to stay, well, herself. Without that, she starts to regain a lot of those emotions and feelings that she had lost a long time ago, so Max was pretty sure she was going to stay. However, she left, and with that, it brought a ripple into all this. 1, Max was wrong, but 2, where is Widowmaker? Well, we can assume she went back to just being a normal mercenary, but as time has gone on, those emotions and feelings are probably cropping back up again. I could see a storyline or an arc or even a side comic, hey, maybe even a short story about Widowmaker explaining whatever's going on with her right now. I think that would be really cool, and we could probably get some more lore on her past, mainly about everything going on with Gerard, because I feel like that's something that's been brought up a couple times and we'll probably get to hear a little bit more about. Back to Doomfist, it seems like Doomfist is waiting for whatever happens with Vendetta to end, and he's going to come in and take over the throne once more. This makes perfect sense, and it's kind of where this character has been going. He doesn't want to jump into this all willy-nilly, and he even says to Sombra there's no plan yet, so he's probably just waiting for the perfect moment to strike. This is where I'm going to start getting into full-on speculation, because we're not really sure anything aside from that with Doom. However, this is what makes the most sense to me. I do think that Doomfist is probably waiting for Overwatch or Vendetta to take, well, herself down. This makes a lot of sense because Vendetta's consolidating a lot of power, but this power isn't going to, well, mesh well together and is probably going to be too much for one single person to handle. This might lead to her downfall internally, or Overwatch is going to strike back and take out Vendetta, dealing a massive blow to Talon. This is when I think Doomfist could show up, and while Doomfist probably doesn't like Vendetta, knowing him, he does see a lot of value in her. So there's no way he's just gonna let her go off to the side and be forgotten. Doomfist is probably gonna try to work with her, or at least take her under his wing. I think that works best, and it keeps Vendetta in Talon, keeping all those connections and relationships that she's formed, while also keeping Doomfist in a pretty important state of power. Doomfist is a character who, well, we know for a fact is not one to take a fight down, so he's definitely going to be coming back. But learning from that past mistake, he's going to take his time, consolidate, and scheme. And then, when it's time, he'll strike. The big elephant in the room with Doomfist is what exactly is going on with his gauntlet. There's been a lot of speculation on where he might go to get help with this, but I don't really know at the moment. Because he's working with Sombra and Reaper, there's a lot of different characters that could be introduced to this storyline, specifically with Sombra. Sombra has a lot of connections in the lore, like canonically, with characters like Soldier 76, Iari, even, well, some more wild cards out there. So there's a lot of characters that could be brought into this storyline. However, with Doom in particular, I don't know who's exactly going to help him with his gauntlet. Knowing him, he might just try to strengthen himself and not rely on the gauntlet until he can earn it back, waiting for the perfect moment to fight, take it back, and regain what he's lost. I do think the status quo of the Overwatch universe is pretty much changed. Another thing that's kind of brought up in mid-season is Ramattra and Doomfist. Now, we thought these two were working together, and it sounds like they were, but Ramattra leaving was not in the plan. It's based on this interaction you can hear here.
You let your empire slip through your fingers. Strength wasted.
And your allegiance crumbled the moment it was tested.
It was a liability masked as opportunity. If I stayed, we would both be obsolete.
So with Doom, he does really hate Ramattra and he does hate Null Sector. So after everything that happens with Vendetta, I could see him turning his eye to Ramattra. Mainly to get revenge, but to also get any tech that he wanted. There's been a thing in a couple animated pieces that Doomfist does want Null Sector's technology, so maybe he's going to be turning his eye to everything going on with Null Sector after everything with Talon is done. Talon has kind of established itself as a global power dynamic now. You can't really go back from this anymore, and especially because of what Vendetta's done, they've become a threat worldwide. In Overwatch Undivided, they're even breaking into installations across the globe and meeting with the Junkers. They're doing a lot of things just all over the place, from all different scales. It's going to be hard to take Talon and bring them back down. So, knowing Doomfist, he's probably going to get back this power and then continue to try to grow it in his own way. But that's probably what Doomfist is planning. I wouldn't expect to see Doomfist till probably the end of the year or whenever Vendetta's defeated. They did say we're going to be getting yearly story arcs, so I'm going to assume the reign of Talon is going to end at the end of this year, and we'll probably be going into whatever's next. Now, if that means Vendetta falls at the end of the year, I'm not exactly sure. I don't feel like Vendetta is going to be defeated this soon. Maybe next year for next year's arc, maybe the fall of Talon could be kind of fun. But Overwatch does need to get more involved here, I think. Hopefully with next season, since everything is pointing to Demon as the new hero, we'll see Diva, and aside from her, whoever's with her right now will probably be going to deal with everything going on with the Junkers, if I had to guess. Those are my thoughts on everything with Doomfist and Vendetta. These were kind of just my rambles and speculations, but what did you guys think? Are you guys excited to see what happens with Doomfist? Are you excited to see the fall of Vendetta eventually? And more importantly, what do you guys think about the overall plan for the story? There's a lot of question marks for where things could go right now, and I'd love to hear what you guys have to say. Anyways, that's all from me, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Bye!